All right, and we are live. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Phase 1 podcast. I'm spending some quality time with Lizzy Fowler. Liz, thanks for hanging out with me today. I appreciate you. Just a little background. I got connected with you via Instagram, just doing its algorithm thing. And we just been chatting a little bit over the last few months, and I know you had a pretty big year, and you got big plans for the future. So we'll get into that throughout the conversation. But for those of you just tuning in for the Phase 1 podcast, what we like to do is keep it structured with diving into 3 different themes or pillars or whatever we want to call it. But we want to take a little bit of time and have a conversation about our individual stories that are in line with survival, resilience, and endurance. Those are themes that I think on a fundamental level speak to all humans. And we get to hear Lizzy's personal story of survival, endurance, resilience, and what that means to her. And then we're going to pivot and we're going to talk about her mission. And really what that is like her day-to-day grind and what she's doing today, how she's trying to inspire people, how she's trying to offer hope. And then how we wrap up the conversations, we're going to fire hose all of you with words of encouragement, and that is through the message. I think every human who relates to survival, endurance, and resilience internally can offer words of encouragement, and ultimately that leads to hope. So I'm excited for this time that we have together and just learning a little bit more about each other and encouraging each other on this crazy, wild thing called life. So, Lizzy, thanks for hanging out with me.
Yeah.
Appreciate you spending some time with me. I do want to recognize before we get into the conversation and before I just let you take the reins and run full speed, I do recognize that asking someone to share their story can be challenging because especially if we've gone through a lot of challenges in our life that have required us to be resilient and to find that internal holistic strength to endure discomfort and find hope at the other end. It can be challenging to do that. So I'll be patient with you as you share your story, and your story is relative to you. And the hope is that whoever is listening to this that needs to find that hope can hear from your story and relate to you on that fundamental level. And I'm pretty sure they're going to be excited to hear what you have to say. So no pressure.
Well, it's just life, Things in life happen.
Yeah, it's just life. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for being here. And what I'll do now, I'll sit back and just listen to you share your story with me and get excited for other people to be inspired by you. Thanks.
Cool. Yeah, that sounds good. So I grew up on the East Coast, so I'm from Virginia originally, and I don't remember much of my childhood, unfortunately. My life really starts at the brain injury I had when I was 20 years old. Is kind of the furthest back I can recall. So I was a sophomore in college playing volleyball at Montreat College, and I got jumped on top of accidentally by another athlete on my team. And so I took a knee to the back of the head, and then my head bounced off the gym floor twice, and I was blind and had to completely relearn everything, including meeting my family, learning who I was, what I was doing, and lost my taste and smell, and really just had to accept where I was at every day, because it's a lot to take in that other people know more about who you are than you do. So that was a pretty wild concept. And I was in school to actually be a park ranger. So when I came out of the brain injury, I told my mom, I don't really want to be a park ranger. And she was like, well, how do you know that? And I was just like, I don't know, but I don't think I really want to do that. So I listened to myself and had a few like college professors at the time really encourage me to go after my dreams of becoming a filmmaker. So I applied to film school and transferred to Virginia Commonwealth in Richmond. And to be honest, I really was in denial about processing the whole head injury because I almost just wanted to keep moving with my life and not let that stop me or bring me down. But in reality, I I think that I probably should have at least kind of looked at that more, but maybe I wasn't ready at the time, which is also okay. But when I transferred to Virginia Commonwealth, I was really enjoying it. And then I actually went through an assault on the way home from class one night and had to endure that. So I ended up transferring shortly after that to live in the Outer Banks because I just didn't feel safe after what had happened to me. And I just completely threw everything that had happened to me just in a big crumpled note and just threw it over my shoulder and did not want to look at any of it and kept living my life the way that I wanted it to be lived. And I moved to Hawaii. I moved to all these places. And then finally, I came back home and decided to work with what had happened. So I actually did EMDR, different types of kind of trauma reprocessing to really help me work through these things that were starting to trigger me because we can't just avoid really hard things that have happened to us. We do have to learn to accept them in whatever way that feels like and looks like to you as a human being. So that was really helpful. And then I somehow just really ended up on this quest to figure out what flow state is. And been working on this documentary for 4.5 years now. God bless. And this documentary went from me being so curious about how are our brains so resilient to overcome whatever, whether it's trauma, sports, just life conditions. Like we are so resilient. And flow state to me was really these peak experiences that helped me see who I was when I couldn't. And throughout the film, I ended up just getting so frustrated because I worked with all these sensors and from Oxford and University of British Columbia, and then I felt like going the science route was actually not getting me any closer to figuring out flow. So one day I was like, well, I really like to run, and I wonder how far I could take that and explore what flow state means for me. So my ultra journey began. I signed up for a 145-mile race as my first race because I just
Mhm.
like to run long and eat snacks and woods. So it's a good excuse to just go play outside for a really long time and push yourself. And that journey took me to Keys 100, Moab 240, and has been quite this journey. And was really enjoying it until when I ran Moab in the last 20 miles, all of the unprocessed memories from my first assault came up in the form of post traumatic stress and not ideal way to finish sleep deprived and now dealing with all your trauma. So I then had to work with that, and that brings us to 2020, like 4 December, and I got sexually assaulted again, but in my hometown. And that's really when I decided I had had enough about this being a thing. And I ended up pursuing the case and sending the perpetrator where he needed to go, and decided that the only thing I had my eyes on was conquering the scariest thing I could think of, and that was the John Muir Trail FKT. And I wanted to do it not for myself, but to show other women that felt exactly like I felt after, that we have so much more strength that we cannot see. And if I can run this thing that terrified the crap out of me and my hamstrings and my quads, then what else can we endure and overcome? And so I moved out here in the spring and trained to crush it, and it was wild. But we ended up raising $9,500 for the foundation, which was incredible. But
Mm-hmm.
I got smoked out by the Garnet Fire about 150 miles in, so I ended up having to call it off. And well, I didn't call it off because I'm gonna go back, but
Mm-hmm.
I am just so excited to really continue to spread this mission of, like, I mean, it doesn't just only happen to women, this also happens to men, but this message of being able to, like, you cannot see yourself as you truly are when you're going through post-traumatic stress and trauma, but you in a few months or a year or 2 years will be so amazed if you continue to just support yourself, love yourself, and know that you have this glimmer of light that wants you to look at it and embody it when all you see is darkness. So that kind of, and now I'm here.
Yes,
So
you
yeah,
are.
yeah.
Oh, Lizzy, thank you for sharing all that with me. I can only imagine how challenging that is to share with me. We've only talked once on the phone,
Mhm.
but I appreciate you sharing that, and I'm happy for you that you're on a path to hope and restoration and healing. And my heart also hurts to hear that. It hurts really bad. Um, but yeah, I'm grateful that you shared that. Thank you. And so yeah, like you said, you're here. Here we are. So your mission,
Mm.
like we were talking about earlier, that's, to me, I think about our past, our trauma, our pain, our discomfort, whatever we've gone through in our life. For me, and also our friend Josh Coleman talks about this. He talks about, like, I'm using his words and I'm also kind of adding on to it. But him and I had a conversation one time. We are talking about being a victim or victor.
Mm.
And for me, I think back to my past with my dad and my childhood, and the way that he put his hands on me in a very forceful, physical way. Out of four boys, I was the only one that ever felt that and experienced it. But knowing that, like, I still remember, and I've shared this many times, and I'll continue to do so, but vivid memories of my childhood, like telling him no, he didn't listen, and then knowing what his blood felt like on the back of my neck as I
Mm.
was doing everything I could to get him off of me.
Yeah.
And for a long time, I suppressed a lot of those memories and emotions and feelings. And it wasn't until I got into my ultra journey that I started that journey, every ultra, knowing I was already in emotional pain. So the physical discomfort that I would go through, okay, like let's be patient enough to find that,
Mm.
however long it may be, because that's where I felt like the healing would begin. And it
Mm.
would be in the early morning hours in darkness where I would go back in my mind to that hotel room, and I'd go, like, in my mind, crawl into the position that I was in when he threw me in between the wall and the bed and said horrible things to me. And I just would, like, as my current present self, I would comfort that version of me when I was a little boy
Mm-hmm.
who needed that comfort. And I would just tell him, like, you're gonna be okay. Life's gonna be hard, but you're gonna be okay. You're gonna be okay. So the reason that I kind of go in depth with that, number one, is because I want to share a little bit of my story with you, because I think that's fair for you to hear from me. But also recognizing that I don't think I would have been able to heal if I didn't volunteer for that discomfort, and to move through discomfort with full awareness of what I've gone through for a purpose, not just to hurt, but because I had a feeling and a hope that there was going to be that hope on the other end.
Mm-hmm.
I derailed, but I'm not.
No,
I'm not
no.
bummed about it.
I think that's really resonates because part of my experience training for the JMT, I especially when I really started to get into more vert and really train for the fact that I was going to have to go across 11 mountain passes in like under 3 days. The mountains became this mirror
Mm.
for the woman that I couldn't see. And when I had that realization one day, it just broke me into tears because I'd be dealing with post traumatic stress at night amongst trying to handle this insane load. But yet, when I would be in the mountains out of service, just alone, climbing up these amazing, hard technical peaks, I would have that mirror just pushed up into my face of the woman that was brave enough to choose to not give up. And I
Mm.
had many opportunities to give up after that experience, to have it happen again to me. But what a blessing the discomfort and the ultra space gives us, because it's not always about, like overcoming trauma for everybody, but the lessons it gives us when things get difficult show us who we really are. And most times, we are the last person to give ourselves credit of how resilient we truly are. So, yeah,
Mm. Yeah, that's big. Can I share a story with you?
100%.
So I've never shared this with anybody but my 5-year-old. Well, she would tell you 5.5. Her name is Nova. She has beautiful blonde hair, and she's just a diamond, a sweet little gem. One time she asked me, she said, "Daddy, tell me a story." I said, "Okay." And I just started opening my mouth and words came out. But you shared something with me. It reminded me of this story. And now I want to share it with you because I'm going to think about you when I share this story again. So the story goes, there was a little girl, and she went on a journey to find a diamond. And she knew that she had to climb the tallest mountain to find this diamond. And she packs a little burlap sack, little backpack, and she throws it on her shoulder. She grabs an apple, a little bit of water, and she starts hiking up the mountain. And at first, it was really nice. Like, it was beautiful outside. She was in nature. She was enjoying it. And then started to get challenging. Sun went down. Now it's dark. And now she's on this journey. She starts feeling afraid and scared. But she wanted to keep going because she knew at the top of the mountain was going to be this diamond. And this diamond was going to make her feel happy and give her all this hope. Well, as the journey continues, it gets more challenging. And it doesn't get any easier, but she wants to keep going because something in her soul is telling her to keep going. and she kind of forgets about like what's going on around her. She forgets about the beauty. She's just like one foot in front of the other, get to the top. She gets to the top. She doesn't find the diamond. She's so sad. And then she eats her little snacks, drinks a little bit of water, and then she realizes, I don't have any water. And so she starts going down the mountain. She's like, I'm done. I quit. And she sees this little creek. And when she's at her like lowest moment, mentally and emotionally and spiritually and physically, she gets down on her knees. Puts her hands like this, like a little bowl. She goes down to scoop up a handful of water in this creek. She looks in the creek and she sees this diamond. And she realizes that on this journey, this pursuit of finding this beautiful little gem, what she didn't realize is that the whole time she was always the sweet little diamond. But it was the journey that made it worth it, and she wouldn't have found that out if she didn't go through that struggle. So that's that's just from the hip. You said something and I just wanted to share it with you. So hopefully there you go. Hopefully it means something to you. But yeah. So as we think back to our past, our struggles, everything that we've gone through, like this victor mindset, it's like I can reflect back on my childhood and become victim to my circumstances and say, okay, well, because this happened to me, I can no longer move forward, or I can decide to become the victor. And just knowing, okay, well, if I pursue progress and I pursue this holistic strength, this path, like, I know fundamentally that my life's going to be challenging, but I'd rather pursue growth, knowing challenge and adversity is in front of me, but there's hope on the other end. So I'm going to do it anyways. What does victim or victor mean to you?
What light bulbs in my head, so I'll say that, is it's not what happens to us in life, it's how we choose to respond. That's really something I've always believed is we can't choose our circumstances. We can't choose where the dominoes choose to fall in our lives, but what we come back to and what we choose to empower in our minds is everything, because that creates the perception in which you will live through that aftermath or just through your day to day. So I think that ultimately really defines the difference between the two, but also it might take time. And I think that's something that really isn't talked about very much is we just want to heal and I want to heal now. And it's like, well, that's just not realistic. And if you do, then that is incredible and amazing. But for most of us, it is a slow unraveling over time that we heal and work with these things. And you will take so much more from it if you're patient with yourself and you're choose to be vulnerable with those that you trust to help you. That is really the difference, and not being afraid to reach out when things aren't sunny and grand, because that is the point of having people in your lives that can help you through those things 100%. And it's not easy to tell people that you're struggling, but if you don't, then you're really missing out on helping somebody else possibly heal too in ways that you might not understand as well.
Yeah.
So
I appreciate that. Question for you. What would you recommend to someone who has experienced a lot of trauma and wants to move forward and doesn't know how?
Ooh, that's a good question. I mean, I think one, taking it one day at a time is key.
Hmm.
And then two, really finding a modality that works with you. Because for some people, that might be finding a therapist. For some people, that might be going and doing like plant medicine. That might be going out into the woods and doing a through hike. You know, there's so many different ways to respond to these traumas that I really believe it comes down to listening to yourself and just choosing to give yourself that love to show up and begin to unpack that at a pace that feels right to you and know that it's going to take time, but the people around you want to see the other side, and you should want to see the other side of it because you will become such a stronger person on the backside, but you'll feel like everything but it going through the process. And it's difficult, but do we want an easy life where we don't grow or learn anything and continue to stay in the same place? Or are you willing to sacrifice some discomfort and some pain to be able to grow into a version of yourself that maybe you couldn't have otherwise?
Yeah, solid.
Yeah.
I feel like that's just like little wave tops of your brain and how you think.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. All in the mind.
Yep.
Definitely.
Yeah. Have you ever heard of the analogy? Actually, I don't know if it's an analogy. I think it's fact. I don't have, like, I mean, I guess I could Google it right now and check it out. But someone told me a few years ago, they're like, because my last name is Fisher, everybody calls me Fish. They're like, Fish, have you seen the video of how a lobster grows? I'm
Huh.
like, no. I thought it was a joke. So for like a year, I was like, no, man, I haven't watched the video of how a lobster grows. But since you keep asking me, I guess I will. Changed my life. It was amazing. It's a very short video, but it's actually a beautiful depiction of how a lobster grows and what it does. Like go to the bottom of the water, and what they need to do is literally break out of their shell. So
Whoa.
they had to break their shell, and what that means is now they're exposed because this layer of personal protection they have that protects them from predators or something trying to cause them harm, now they're very vulnerable and exposed. But the only way for them to actually grow and expand is to do that so they can grow a new shell.
Hmm.
And I was like, okay, cool, I'm taking that. Like, that's super sweet. Like, what does that mean to me as a person? How am I trying to keep myself confined? And how am I trying to keep myself safe? And, well, how am I trying to keep myself comfortable is how I thought about it. I was like, if I keep myself super comfortable and just living on the couch and not wanting to get outside and expose myself, then how am I going to grow? But those moments, and I'm kind of leaning back to what you were talking about earlier, just inspired by what you were saying. I think about a lot of the races that I've done before, and in the moment I feel so weak. I feel so decrepit and obliterated on a holistic level, physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. But at the same time, I'm like, this is my strongest self because I'm on the other end of discomfort that I've chosen for the
Mhm.
sake of progress. So I'm going to keep going anyways. And I know, and I knew in those moments I wouldn't be who I am today if it wasn't for that willingness to be uncomfortable for
Mm.
the sake of progress.
Yeah. Mic drop.
Thank you. Think pretty secure, but I
No,
would.
no, don't drop your mic.
Oh, thank you, thank you.
Yeah, it's good.
Um, but yeah, these are things that I have solidified in my soul because of what I said yes to when no one on the planet told me I needed to. I just wondered. I was curious. I really I had no clue what I was capable of, and the idea of ultras, like, they never appealed to me.
Mhm.
My friend was talking about him, and he was saying he wanted to train for a 50 miler ultra, and I'm like, okay, I don't like. I'm listening to you. I'm hearing the words you're saying, and I support you as a friend. That thing you're saying, that ultra word, is impossible.
Mm.
And now I look back on it, and what I love to tell people, if they're receptive to hearing it, I really mainly tell this to myself, is the reason I say that is because sometimes people don't want to be encouraged if they're not in a headspace to receive it.
Yeah.
But my hope is whoever's listening can hear this, which is we are limited, I believe, based off of what we say we can't do.
Mm.
So if I say that's impossible, I've already limited my own capabilities. So days, it was funny. Life happened. I was in a deep state of despair and just felt like a skeleton of a human, and the marriage I was in was rapidly declining, and I had a lot of suicidal morbid ideations and just thinking of ways that I could end my life. And then someone invited me to run an ultra 50 miler North Texas.
Mm.
Instantly said yes, and I just trained from that moment on because I found I think I was holding on to it like it was a lifeline. I was like, if
Mm.
I can pursue this thing that's seemingly impossible, if I don't die, then maybe I maybe I grow a little bit. So that's kind of that lobster breaking out of the shell mentality or analogy. So yeah, whoever's listening, hope that that resonates with you. And you too, Lizzie. Hopefully it means something.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So with your mission, what does that mean to you? And it's a two-parter. What does that mean to you? And then what are you focused on right now? What are you driven towards in pursuing that mission?
Mm. Yeah. I mean, I believe my mission right now is to. I'm still working with the foundation that I partnered with on my FKT. So the foundation is called Take Back the Night, and I'm
Mhm.
actually about to join their guest speaking team.
Awesome.
So I'm about to kind of do some talks with them from like possibly the UN, different colleges, to be able to connect with young women and men about, what has happened to me and the ways that I and many others have chosen to respond, and be able to provide that hope for hopefully a lot of people who don't speak up about what has happened to them, because obviously it's not the easiest thing to speak about, because you feel like you're placing this massive weight on other people when you believe that you should only be the one that can carry it. And so I feel really drawn to continue to help inspire other women and men to find that glimmer of hope and light in the dark. And for me, getting into flow state is what has helped me the most be able to find that glimmer. So I am training for my next FKT, just going back after JMT if I get my permit next month, fingers crossed.
Mhm. Yep.
And yeah, I mean, I have a few more races in the books leading up to that to kind of help prep, but I'm trying to remember what the second part of the question was. Can you remind me?
Yeah. Yeah. No problem. Part one was like, what does mission mean to you, and then what are you doing like right now to stay on track with that? Essentially.
Yeah, I mean, I just, with my mission too, I believe it's so important to, again, just take it day by day and live in those digestible pieces, knowing that all those bricks that we're laying, whether that is physical bricks of me training or working towards goals to help others, but more importantly, the mission within my mind
Mm.
of what I choose to empower, what thoughts are actually coming from a place of judgment and doubt and criticism that are rooted in absolutely in no truth. And I'm really excited to continue to work on that headspace as well, because ultimately that will help me and those around me as well be able to see the power that we do have within our minds. So, yeah, really looking forward to continuing to work on the headspace,
Hmm.
the best joy in life.
That's awesome. Thank you
Yeah.
for sharing that. Yeah, you're on a path. You got a lot of things going for you. Um, and I'm happy to continue watching and see how this goes. I know that, well, yeah, I know it. We've only had 2 conversations, but I know you're going to go out and do great things. I know it. And it's sweet that we live on a beautiful planet where beauty surrounds us and we get to chase it.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. One of my favorite quotes when I'm out training in the backcountry, because I love going to like really remote places because I I love when the outside world just absolutely holds no weight and
Mm.
it's just wilderness and presence and birds and wildflowers and um there's always this quote that comes in my head. It's by John Muir and
Hmm.
it says, "I went into the forest to lose my mind and find my soul."
Yep. I
And
love it.
that just resonates so much. And I mean, also, I'm just looking forward to really supporting a lot of my friends too in the ultra space because last year I did way more crewing than I did racing just because of the bills I had from the assault. I really couldn't afford to race very much. And just being able to watch people constantly show up for themselves in new ways was one of the most inspiring things to be a part of, that I was almost like, why would I want to really race again? Like, this is the real deal. Just getting to witness people in moments where they can't even witness themselves. And it was such a blessing to be able to just get to pace and support so many dear friends, and are we're so lucky to have the community that we do have in our sport because there's always something new to learn and it's always something new to work on. And I love that everybody just truly wants those around them to become the best version of themselves. And we're just so lucky to live in such like or live well, I guess so, but be in such a supportive sport where that is just so imminent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. That's huge. That's
Oh
been
yeah.
a big shift for me the last year because 2025, I really didn't do a whole lot of racing. I
Hmm.
did most of my like ultra running when I was in Texas, and then I moved up to Washington, and I really just wanted to prioritize family and being a present father and being there for my daughter and reintegrating into her life because her and I were separated after the divorce, and I just didn't really know what to do. So I I just literally started over,
Hmm.
and I was with my parents for a little bit, moved out, and then within a few minutes, moving into my apartment, my now wife texted me and was like, "Hey, I think I see you moving into our my apartment." And I was like, "Oh, you mean ours? Like, cool. I think we're neighbors. You want to hang out sometime?" So here we are. And I was
Whoa.
in that time. I was like, "Well, I still want to be challenged,
Hmm.
but I don't have money to
Yeah.
race." In my pursuit of trying to find myself, I just my mental wasn't my mental clarity wasn't very clear. My critical thinking wasn't very good.
Yeah.
Um, and over a short time, I successfully maxed out 3 credit cards, and then I'm like, I don't know how to do this. So, yep, I just started running on my treadmill every day, and I was like, well, 6 miles a day, that sounds like a pretty good challenge. So, all that to say, when I started doing race directing and putting on races, to witness people push their limits
Mhm.
and to continue going is just such a blessing. And as much as I would want to be doing the same thing, I'm like, well, I'm being challenged every day by by my goals that I set for myself, but I also love that I get to take a different perspective, or like act as an aid support as a race director, and help people as they push their own limits and find themselves. And it's just a blessing. So it's cool because I did see you doing a lot of crewing, and I brought up Josh earlier. Shout out to him, love him so much. But he did the Triple Crown 200 this last year, and you helped him for, which one was that, Moab?
Yeah, I was his crew chief for Moab.
Yeah. Can we just talk about a moment that brought you joy witnessing Josh and his journey that he was on?
Oh my gosh, of course. Well, the first thing that comes to my head was he was sleeping and I was in charge of obviously waking him up. And so I was like sitting in the van with him. He's like passed out with the compression boots on. This is probably like before he went up to the LaSalle's. So the second mountain range, he's probably 175 miles in at this point. And I wake him up to blaring music and I just throw him a dance party. And
I saw that
he,
video.
yes, and I was playing the Beastie Boys and he's like, this is from my age. And it just like hyped him up so much. And then he's like, let's go. And like he was singing and it was just so beautiful. And we kept being like, hey, do you want a pacer? Because my sponsors, Black Shell, they were there and Derek was like ready to pace him at any point. And he's
Mm.
like, no, like I'm just gonna like go out and like do it. And every time he left, we kept saying that we almost felt like he was on this just personal odyssey to just like explore himself. And it was just so evident. And the other piece of it that is just so beautiful was he came through the finish line and he had blood dripping down his head. And I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, what? Why does he have blood dripping down his head? Everything okay? And I asked him later about it, and he goes, yeah, I lost my glasses. And so I really couldn't see anything going down Porcupine Rim. And I mean, it was muddy, it was slippery. And he goes, but I felt like my wife Erin in heaven was guiding me the whole way because I couldn't even see anything in front of me.
Mm.
And it was just so special because I mean, just the journey he's been on only in a very short span since his wife's passing was just truly so inspiring to see how he's choosing not to allow that to suffocate him, but for it to open up the possibilities of a new way of being present within his life and within himself. And I just felt so lucky to be able to feed him chicken tenders and soak him up and make him pancakes and
Ooh.
wash his dirty, muddy clothes. And it was such an honor, and it was such a special group that, I mean, he ran really well in that race
Mm.
too.
Mm.
He was in the front, like back of the front pack.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is so cool.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing that happy moment or
Oh, yeah.
moments. But the reason I asked you to do that is number one, like you're blessed with that really special memory of witnessing like human spirit. And I just want to take this opportunity to just let people know, like, maybe you're listening to this and ultras don't really speak to you, or you don't really understand like the ultra game. What I do want you to understand is the people that are in the ultra community love people fiercely. I think
Hmm.
it's because there's this human fundamental understanding that when people stand the line for an endurance event of that magnitude, of that elevation, that distance, there's a story in there with
Hmm.
that person, and they're on a path. And yeah, it sounds like Josh just had that really beautiful experience as he's running with his grief.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's like one of my favorite questions that I get asked, especially in like 200s, is people will like run up to you and be like, "So what's your story?" And it's just so fun because what brings people to do those things is always so different.
Mm-hmm.
And I love that we can be so vulnerable in the sport to really dive in. And yeah, I've met some
Yeah.
truly incredible people that I've been so lucky to share, Milky Way nights of just deep conversations. And
Yeah.
then sometimes it's just someone shares something so deep or so wise, and then you'll just run together for like 2 or 3 hours or more in silence. And that's also beautiful of that shared experience and shared suffering without
Mm-hmm.
having to fill in the blanks. And I think there's really power in that silence, but feeling the support of someone also knowing how hard what you're doing is and sharing that experience.
Yeah. Yeah. Huge. I think a reason why it's easier to go into those vulnerable spaces with people in the ultra communities, because when we stand the line, we're already like stripping ourselves in a way. We're already so exposed and vulnerable as it is. And I just love it when we can be in that space. And I didn't even know I needed that. It always feels like home. And I'm sure like this isn't the first time you've heard that. Like when people are in the ultra realm, the space, it feels like home.
Well, when I did Moab, I just had extremely high expectations for myself, as I tend to do. And it was so funny, right? Because you mentioned that it's, like easier to kind of like have those like vulnerable conversations. And I think externally, I did enjoy that, but what I didn't expect was just for everything to fall apart mentally.
Mm.
And Moab was just such an insane experience because we filmed it for my flow state film that we're making, the documentary, and I had a full like camera crew out there. And then as soon as like everything started to fall apart, I was like, why do I have a camera crew here? Like this is like a SOS situation. Like I do not want this film. Like I'm falling apart. I just feel like crap. These people are filming me and everybody thinks that I'm some like influencer, and in reality like this is the last thing I want. But it was so beautiful because I learned so much about myself and my self-talk throughout that process that it ended up being such a powerful thing to be filmed, because we really only commonly see like the front pack runners in their films, and it's like, oh yeah, Max Jolliffe's just crushing it. Oh okay, yeah, I could do that. Like anybody could do that. And then you like watch like my side of Moab, and it's like, oh, this is like mid pack life. And it is so beautiful because in the moment I did not think it was going to be a beautiful film, but seeing somebody break over and over again and choose to get back up, I mean, there's something to that that's way more important that we can carry into our lives than just having a race where everything goes right. Those are fun too, and I enjoy those experiences as well. But I don't think it was a coincidence that I had that gnarly Moab, and then I actually had to face all the real stuff in my life shortly after that, because I truly think I did have to run Moab 240 to realize that I am strong enough to face the darkest stuff that I have been through.
Mhm.
So super grateful for it on the backside.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's awesome. Um, I can't personally. I'm very excited for this documentary to come
Me
out.
too.
Are you
Yeah.
allowed to talk about it or no?
Oh yeah, I mean
Oh,
I'm
okay.
the director, so I make the rules.
Sweet. Okay. Do you have an idea of when it's gonna come out, and are you gonna do like a tour or anything like that?
Yeah, so we're in post production right now. So we're working on the edit, and it's been again 4.5 years in the making. We've been in the film. We travel from Croatia, Scotland, the US, like all over the world. And we have so much footage. So we're really combing through to see what's making the cut right now. And then we'll have to build the soundtrack, because it's either going to be a series or a feature film. We're deciding what looks best as we cut it. And then my goal is to push it into a film festival next fall, or apply to Sundance or Mountain Film the following year. But if that doesn't feel right, then we could do a tour. Our distribution plan is in the works, because I really just want the most people to see it as possible. So if that means we can get a Netflix deal, that's awesome. If it means it goes on YouTube and we make a series out of it, that's awesome. But um it's shot not like a normal documentary. So it's shot as it unfolds, like conversationally, talking to people just like in their houses at a dinner table.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not a lot of talking head interviews. So I'm really excited for it to come out, because it's very honest, and you follow the journey as it unfolds versus feeling like the information is really forced on you. And I just haven't seen a lot of films that have been shot in that manner in a while. And I'm just really excited for people to kind of get in the journey with me, because it was a wild past 4 years of twists and turns that we just happened to film. And I don't even think I knew what I was getting myself into. But um, super special too, because, well, actually, I can't ruin the ending. Never
Okay.
mind. Okay, I was got ahead of myself. I cut myself off.
Nice. Good. Good. Well, I look forward to seeing that, and
Yeah,
yeah, I'm sure you'll push stuff out as things unfold. So
yeah.
that'll be really sweet.
I'm
And
taking a break from social media. Well, I have been taking a break for a bit, just because I felt like reestablishing my relationship to the platform was something that I really wanted to work on. And I'm excited to kind of start pushing out more about behind the scenes, and get or just allow people to kind of learn more about the project. But for me, I'm just going to minimize my time scrolling, because it really wasn't it really wasn't helping me with diving deeper into continuing to work on myself. And I have felt like I have so much more time to really, yeah, just in general, I feel like I have more time. So I'll leave it at that
yeah,
with social media.
that's great. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think for me, I'm working on those boundaries as well. Just like not scrolling,
Mhm.
and then just forcing myself. I literally like will force myself just to like turn my phone off and turn it over and just like take a breath and like look at a wall or something.
Well, here's the thing that really helped me was, it depends on what our intention is. And that's with everything. When you're going on Instagram, what's your intention? Is it to check on a few friends that you like and click on their stories? Or is your intention to just numb your mind and just do that? So I think the way we go about doing things is everything. And I try to do that with almost everything I am do before I go for a run. Am I doing this to beat my body up, or am I doing this to embrace the present? The fact that I'm healthy enough to run, the fact that I can look at the sky and see these colors, and that changes the way that we go about doing whatever we're going to do, and the way that we go about like our headspace when we're wherever we're at.
Yeah. Yeah, I love it. I'm with you. I'm with
Yeah.
you. The ability to, or I'll say it this way, the practice of patience and presence is,
Oh, patience.
it's something that's like, ugh, patience, gross. Why? Especially in our culture, like we literally can order something off Amazon. It'll be at our front porch at like 1:30 in the morning. And we just don't really need to be that patient as a culture anymore. It's really mind-boggling. So that's just, it's a huge reason why I love running 6 miles a day. It's because first off, I don't usually want to do it. It's going to take time, and I get to work with my challenges and work with myself and better myself first thing in the morning by being patient and present. And then I get to show up for the rest of the people that I get to interact with and be a healthier version of myself. So everybody else gets a better version of me, including myself. But I never got that concept until I started thinking about, ooh, what does patience mean and why? Okay, well, running is a really nice way to practice that.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Patience is just it is patience.
Yep.
You know? Nobody likes it, but so many beautiful things grow so slow, and it I have to bring it up because it's like pinging in my brain right now. But so there are these trees, and track me here. They're called the bristlecone pine. They are the oldest trees on this planet, and they live on the mountain beside my house here. And they're over 5,000 years old. So they have been around before Jesus Christ. They were around before the pyramids in Egypt. And do you know how slow they grow?
No, tell me.
Less than half a centimeter every year. And they grow so slow, but yet they are the most resilient organism on the
Mm,
planet. They only grow above 10,000 feet. Their bark is insect resistant. They endure harsh winds, harsh winters, storms in the summer, and they grow in these rocks in super, like, not dirt healthy conditions. And they are the oldest trees on earth. And I think there's something to be said about how slow that they grow, and how that makes them, in my opinion, the most resilient thing I've ever seen.
mm,
So I remember them whenever I want to rush my healing or rush myself in growth, that when we trust ourselves to endure the spaces that we find ourselves in, we will grow at exactly at the pace that we're supposed to.
mm.
So
That's awesome.
they are awesome. Yeah.
Well, you sharing that with us is rad. I really like that. That's
I'll,
cool.
yeah, I'll save the rest of my fun facts because I could do a whole podcast on these trees. I love these trees so much.
I believe it. I was thinking when we were talking about that, like here I go again. I don't have a little fact checker, but heard that it takes like 8 years for an apple to bear fruit once
What?
the seed is planted. Hold on a second. Just dropped my water bottle. That's okay.
I
I'm gonna
didn't know
look this up
apples grew
really
that slow.
quick. How long does it take for an apple to bear fruit? Oh, from seed, 6 to 10 years.
What?
Yep. Trees grown from seed are unpredictable. Fruit quality and size can vary a lot from the parent apple.
Wow.
It depends on the apple, but yeah, from seed, it's saying 6 to 10 years. So I think about that sometimes too. I'm like, maybe it's not actually 6 to 10, but it's going to take some time. And how does that relate to us? We get to be patient with the time that we're gifted with, the time that we're blessed with. And kind of going back to what you were saying a long time ago about healing, like I don't know if you said the words, it's a slow process, but it is going to take time.
Yeah.
So that's kind of my encouragement to those that are listening. Well, my friend, I want to be respectful of your time. I know you guys have going on in about 20 minutes, but I do have 2 questions if you have time for it. You got about 10 more minutes left?
Let's go.
Cool. So you just got back from a silent retreat.
Mm-hmm.
And my question for you is, as we transition from sharing and listening to one another's stories and talking about our individual mission, the last part of the podcast that I want to lean into is the message. And that is an opportunity for us to offer words of encouragement to the hurting human. And I'm just curious if you can reflect on one thing that you learned from your silent retreat that you can give to the world to encourage them no matter what hurt they're going through at this moment.
I learned so much. No, this is a tricky one. So, for some context, the silent meditation retreat, there were 20 of us, and there's no eye contact and there's no talking. And we were there for 8 or 9 days. I lost track of what day it was by day 4. Um, but I think one of the most beautiful things that I learned was what compassion is. And compassion is this really confusing word, at least in my brain, for so long, because we want to love people how they want to be loved, and that's really hard. But what compassion for others, and more importantly, compassion for yourself feels like is acceptance. And sometimes that is like heartbreaking, really putting yourself in other people's shoes. And I mean, I did not expect to break down crying on my meditation cushion so much, but if I could get people to understand anything, it would be that I did not expect to feel like every single person around me was sending me love through that time without any words spoken. And I kid you not, sense where in the room someone was about to start crying, or at least in what direction, and I would start just cultivating like love for them and send it their way, and then they would start crying. And it's like we as human beings, we try to fill every gap with explanation, analyzation. Why did this happen to me? Why did that happen to them? But what really matters is that we care about each other and we choose to love each other no matter what. And to be honest, it really felt amazing to just not even know what someone's moving through, but to feel that I deeply care about this person that I haven't even met because I haven't even talked to them yet. But we are conditioned to help each other, to love each other unconditionally and not judge or analyze, but truly just support people wherever they're at. And that was such a powerful lesson that I took away. And it really changed my life because I just want to be there for people exactly where they're at and hold that space no matter what that looks like. So, yeah.
Awesome. That's awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate that very
Yeah.
much. Thank you. The last question that I have, and I also feel kind of bad because when we were having our meet and greet, I told you this is not an interview. But for some reason, I've just asked you so many questions. I hope that's okay.
Hey, I'm here.
Last question. Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay. So if you think about phase one,
Hmm.
what does phase one mean to you?
I come back to that story that you told about the diamond, honestly. And for me that resonates as that glimmer of hope, that glimmer of light that we our minds, our egos create all these unnecessary problems and storylines, but at the core of who we are as humans, we are made to endure and be with our true nature, which is resilient, glittery, strong, and just so beautiful. And it's just life and evil that sometimes, pulls us away from accepting that underneath of it all, that hasn't changed. And I just love like what you bring to the table because you remind us of that true nature of our beings underneath of all the layers that life tries to place on top of it. And it's our job to continue to work and put ourselves in situations where we have to grow to reconnect with that nature within ourselves.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I'm glad that story resonated with you, and I hope that it relates or resonates with other people as well. This conversation has just been so encouraging for me. I have experienced lots of emotions from listening to your story and your mission and message. And I hope we can stay connected and keep in
Oh
touch
yeah.
and continue to encourage each other as we pursue progress and holistic strength. But I know you are limiting your time on social media, but if people want to connect with you, what's the best way they can do that?
Yeah. I'll probably be logging back on to the old Insta next week with my upcoming journey ahead. So yeah, probably Instagram, which hopefully you can just add it to like the bio.
Yeah.
That's probably the best way. I just will be limiting the amount of time I spend on it and actually listening to when my timer goes off because I
Mm.
used to just be like, oh, ignore,
Yeah,
ignore.
yeah.
But yeah, probably Instagram is the best way, and that's where I'll be updating about the JMT and the foundation work that I'll be doing. And yeah, just if anybody does ever need any resources with different routes to go as well, I'm more than happy to point you in different directions or provide any help that I can. But really like trust those people that can hold that space for you if you are struggling, because those that love you dearly want to see you on the other side. So, yeah.
Awesome. Well, Lizzy, thanks for spending some time with me. This was awesome. I
Yeah.
appreciate it.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so much. It was encouraging for me, and I imagine that it was encouraging for everybody that's listening as well. And that's it, folks. Until next time, peace, love, keep it real.